But yeah, no, there was a draft of the film script that Anne Peacock had written that I read that inspired me to kind of go down to Kenya and meet Maruge, who was, by that time he was 89 and he was in a hospice in the centre of Nairobi, and it was on that trip, that was when, just listening to him and listening to his stories and listening to his background and where he'd come from and the past, that I thought, yes, we've got a real, there's a film here, there's definitely a film here. Not the way for, you know, I wanted to kind of use Kenyans to be in the film, to use African crew. So in the end I took about 8 people in from outside, and the rest came from Kenya and Africa. And that was really, that intimacy of working really enabled kind of other stories, true stories to emerge, because Kenyans felt part of the whole process, you know, and we lived in the Maasai Plains, we lived there right next to the school, and with that came kind of great intimacy with the subject matter for.
You were telling us during the Q&A last night about how you guys integrated yourself into the village by being teachers. Could you tell us a little more about that?
Yeah, I think it was about, I knew it was going to be, with the children, it was going to be important to, so that I would be an oddity there in that school. I was in the middle of the Rift Valley in this school, you know, and I knew that I had to kind of observe the children, and I didn't want to kind of force any characters that weren't necessarily there in truth. So I went in on my own and just, you know, sat and watched at first and observed and saw how they played and saw how they were in the playground and saw how they were taught, and then I took lessons myself, and then slowly we built up this this relationship, me with the children, saw the characters, and so I kind of started to kind of give various little characters within the school roles in the film, and then brought in my cameraman, banned all cameras from the set, and the cameraman came in, and then we'd sit together and he'd teach, and Naomi came and she taught, and I kept Maruge away until we actually started filming, Oliver the actor, but we all taught, and then slowly kind of adapted these characters to the film, and then that kind of, by the weeks that went by, and then we started to film, and I'd have to kind of create these amazing lesson plans just to keep the children interested and engaged, because, you know, they hadn't seen a movie camera, they hadn't really seen stills cameras or anything like that, so we had to keep them very engaged so they wouldn't look in the ground glass, you know, of the film camera. So I'd have to kind of create lesson plans that I put up on the wall, and we'd do these lesson plans, and a scene would be based around a lesson, or I'd structure some sort of play, and I'd shout cut, and I'd go out to give a note, or to give a note to the cameraman, and the kids would all be, Teacher Justin, they want me to mark my stuff, and I'd have to rub the stuff off the backboard and create a whole new, these kids were like thirsty for education. It was something that was really like humbling, amazing for me, you know, when, you know, British kids completely take their education, the fact that they're being educated for granted, you know, and they just, you don't really seize it. These children had, you know, they had this thirst, you know, this desire. They would wake up in the morning and they would be like, we want to learn, you know, and they would walk 2 hours, think nothing of it, start their lessons. They had very little books, anything. We would teach them. I'd say to them after we'd done like these lessons, what do you want to do? Thinking, you know, the kids would all want to go play, you know, football. They'd go, mathematics, science, you know. It was like, oh my God, really? Okay, come on. And so, you know, and that was amazing. They really kept us on our toes, those children, and kind of the children were amazing over this man who arrived on set. They completely just accepted that he was part of the school. They didn't know we were making a film. They completely thought that he was part of this new pupil in a school uniform, you know. and he had trouble writing, and so a lot of those scenes are just their genuine reactions to him coming into the school. And in that scene, there's a scene in the film where little Agnes sits next to Maruge in the playground, and we'd done the scene in the morning about where he has this kind of troubled kind of meltdown in the classroom where he relives some of his past, which is quite a horrific scene. And we'd done that in the morning, and so I said to Oliver, listen, Oliver, you know, I just need a shot of you now in the playground. You know, you're alone. You're just at school. You've just gone through this terrible thing. And I said to Agnes, you know, go over and talk to Oliver, you know, because he's sitting on his own, and they were all playing. All the kids were playing, and so we just I just gave her a position to start in, and then we said, Agnes, Agnes, and she knew. She walked over to him, she sat next to him, and this little girl just started to talk to this man, you know, and just say, why have you got no friends? Why are you sitting on your own? And, you know, I'll be your friend. And he said, no, it's all right, it's all right. And he was in character. He was going, you know, it's about my ears. You know, I had this. And she goes, oh, you know, I'm going to be a doctor. And just this, I mean, it all clicked. It just, for some reason, it just happened against all the odds, because we lost. You know, as I say, you know, we lost the budget because we didn't go to South Africa, and I wanted to shoot it in Kenya. I mean, I'm saying it was hard work to convince everybody and to get it going and to keep the momentum going. But there was just I don't know, there was just something behind it that just, and I know that sounds very, you know, but there was just something about it. I was completely determined. And once I got there and was there, and I could see a way of making it, and a way that we could, the BBC being so supportive about the way I was intending to make it and to do it, and they gave me complete and utter freedom there and support to kind of go, and they were risking a lot. You know, they were, you know, I was out there with 8 people in a country that is not perceived to be an infrastructure, where we were living in the Maasai with the Maasai. We were living there. There was no real communication back and forth. We were out doing this film with unknown actors, you know, with an unknown crew, with kind of equipment that was, you know, literally probably was equipment that was left behind from, you know, out of Africa. It felt like, you know, it was like rusty tracks, and we were lucky to get anything, you know, and you never knew each day what was going to happen. There'd be some kind of different thing, and you didn't know who was going to turn up or what, and the terrain itself was quite, where the school was in that Rift Valley, I know it looks very beautiful, but it's an incredibly hostile environment. But for some reason, it was just happened. And that was the amazing thing about filmmaking, is that sometimes it just, like, with determination and complete will, you know, you get, you know, a kind of ball of energy behind you. And so from the moment I started on it to, like, even now when I'm seeing it with audiences, you know, I am blessed, because it was something that was meant to be for me. And I loved every second of it. And, you know, out there in Kenya, yes, it was challenging, but come on, really not. I mean, I had these beautiful children that came to this school every day who wanted to learn. I mean, I should be so lucky, you know. I mean, it was just, they were inspiring, and I'm honoured to have had the chance, and for the BBC and for National Geographic to give me that chance of making something that I could put my heart and soul into. So it was inspiring, rewarding, and I can honestly say, and I've got children, which, you know, and a beautiful family. It was the best thing I've ever done, definitely, without question. It was the best thing that I've done.